What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the TRÜF Life Podcast. I'm the host, Tyren Johnson, and today we got our first guest, one of my best friends in the world, man, my boy, Charles Noé Abouo. Hope I said his name right, but welcome, Noé, to the TRÜF Life Podcast. I just wanted to introduce you guys to guys that, have a similar mindset to me and who hustle I respect. I respect their game. I respect their mindset, and I just respect everything about them as a person. And this podcast is all about building self-confidence and mental toughness. So I want some confident and mental tough guys on here. So I bring to you Charles Abouo, my guy. What's up, bro?
Thanks for having me, bro. I appreciate you, man. And it's been a pleasure playing with you last year and get to develop our friendship. It means a lot to me, and I love the podcast, so it's a pleasure to be on.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that me and Noé played together last year on a team, and that's when I actually met the guy. And now I talk to the guy weekly, more than I talk to some of my family members. Just introduce yourself to the people, and let people get familiar and comfortable with who you are.
Yeah, Charles Noé Abouo. I'm originally from Côte d'Ivoire. It's in West Africa, and I was born in West Africa. Lived there till about the age of 6 years old. Then my family moved to the States, and I grew up there first in Milwaukee, then later Utah. Went to high school in Utah, then did a year at Brewster Academy back east, and played my collegiate career at BYU. And then I played at BYU on a pretty successful college team, with some really good players. And after that, I started my professional career. Played my first 2 years in Spain and left gold. Then I played half the season in Egypt, another full season in Qatar. And then after that, I've been in France for the last 4 years, playing here in Pro B. And in between that, I played also with my national team in a couple African championships and world championships with the Ivory Coast national team.
So quick question, man. This is a big question that a lot of guys from back home have. When you finished college, what was your process to becoming a pro? Like directly after college, what was you thinking at the time? Like what is the next step?
So for me, it was different. My senior year, right after my last game of my senior year, I actually had surgery on my foot, and I wasn't exactly sure what the outlook would be, but I wanted to play professionally, and I didn't participate in any NBA workouts and things like that. I was pretty much out 2 months. 2 months before I could do rehab, and then so I missed some workouts. I probably would have had a couple workouts lined up, some teams, because once I got healthy, I was invited to a mini camp with the Chicago Bulls, and I went to that probably, man, two and a half weeks after I started rehab. They kind of asked me why I didn't go through the draft process, things like that, and do any workouts. And I didn't really want to say I was out with surgery. So I just said I was working out. And then I just went straight there from just about 2 weeks of rehab. But so that was the process for me. And then I had an agent at the time who kind of, used a little bit of that and used my career and some of the success we had at BYU to get me a job in left gold. I didn't have great. My stats were solid. I think I averaged like 12.6 rebounds as a senior, but I didn't have big time stats. So that little mini camp thing, he parlayed that into an opportunity with the coach in left gold, and I just needed to start. I needed to start somewhere, so I jumped on it.
So right after college, you reached out to were you seeking an agent, or were a bunch of agents just hitting you up like wanting to represent you?
I had a couple different agents reach out to me, and about 3 guys, and I was familiar with both of them, and just made that decision from there.
I got you. Because see, my issue was a lot of guys ask me, how do they find agents and stuff? And I'm like, bro, I can't really. When I finished college, it was like 30 agents trying to work with me. So I never really had to go and seek an agent. It was always offered to me. So I don't really know how to explain to them how
Yeah.
to go about starting a career. So I like to hear guys' stories at the beginning. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna find you.
Right.
You know, they're gonna find you, and I think that's one thing I love listening to podcasts is you talk about it. Every day is an opportunity. You never know who's watching practice, who's watching the game, and it's
Tournament.
basically you're marketing yourself all the time. Even when you walk down the street, when you walk in the gym, and just to clarify, the Chicago Bulls minicamp. Nothing came from that. I didn't get chosen, but that was a really cool opportunity to participate in, and that only came about because I played with Jimmer Fredette. Obviously, I'm sure these people listening to this podcast will know, former college player of the year, NBA player, and when I asked one of the coaches at BYU for some advice, and he told me, he's like, look, if you can get healthy, you should we can contact some NBA teams and I could try to get you in a mini camp or something. And I was like, how is that possible? Because I've been out, I'm not sure too many people know about me. He told me we had a couple scouts. We had a lot of scouts throughout the year that would come and watch Jimmer at practice. And he remembered specifically 2 scouts that came and asked him about me. Right. Just from the way I practiced and the way that I played. At the time, I was playing maybe 15 minutes a game. And these scouts told him, like, hey, we like Jimmer, but who is this other kid? He's really interesting. We like his game. He's young. We like what he can do. So crazy thing, I'm here with crutches talking to my guy when I'm rehabbing. He was one of our coaches, so he was a former player at BYU. We were just chopping it up, and I was uncertain about my future. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to talk to your agent. I'm going to get him the name of these 2 scouts that liked you, and then who knows where we'll go from there. Well, my agent got in contact with both of them. They both called him back. They had their mini camps the same week, and I basically could choose from one of the 2. And the agent had a lot to do with that too, but a lot of it came just from being seen at practice in that situation.
Got you. Well, me and Noe got this thing, man. Well, we was going through some things last year, and we would actually, depend on each other. Well, not depend on each other. We just turn into friends, and we would just sit in the car and talk for hours, hours at a time. And we just started calling them Car Chronicles. So it was like, yo, let's bring this to the podcast. So we're going to actually just turn this into one of our Car Chronicles. We're going to let y'all in on our conversations, some of the conversations we be having in the car, because, I think it could be beneficial to the guys that's listening. First thing first, man, I want to talk about, it sent me a bunch of questions, and we debate, and then we agree, we disagree, and we have different perspectives and different views. So it's good. But he sent me a bunch of questions, and we want to get into a few. And one of the questions was, we always thinking about what the game can do for us. Whenever you hear that question, what's the first thing come to your mind? Because I know what come to my mind, but I want to hear your opinion first.
I think for me, that a lot of my career coming up, I thought about that perspective. Just I want to be this type of player. I want to play at this level. I want to get this type of contract. I want to be the best player in the league. I want to, I'm in Pro B this year. Next year I want to play in a first division team. And I think those goals are all great. But I've realized a lot of that is you're thinking about what basketball can do for you, and which that's also very important. But it's you're in a receiving kind of mindset. It's like you're not opening yourself up to give maybe more than just that you seek to receive, and so I think that's, for me, that's a mindset that it looks good on paper, but it hasn't always been that beneficial. It can also be sometimes stressful, and so I sent you that thinking about. I'm like, what if I shifted that and thought about, maybe maybe in a different type of way, what can I do for the game of basketball?
Right. See, for me, it's like I'm a big believer in you get in, you get out what you put in, and I believe, like, bro, I call it the basketball gods. You know what I'm saying? Like, whenever you respect the game, some weird way, the game gives you everything you need. When you don't have no expectations, and when you just out there hooping, you're not worrying about winning and losing. You're not worrying about the next contract. You're not worrying about your teammates. You're not worrying about your coach. You know the work that you put in, and you just going out there doing what you've been putting in all week, all month, all summer, and you letting it flow. I think a lot of guys take the game too serious to where they forgot that we started playing this out of fun. You feel what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And like for me, one of my big thing is I be really I can't speak the language over here, but hard work is a universal language. Good body language is a universal language. So my best way of getting that inspiration to around the people that I can't speak the language to is by what I do on the court. So when I got people looking at me in the game, they're looking at from the stands and they're looking at me the way I play and the way I handle myself. I just know I can inspire them to do the same. I get videos all the time of these little kids screaming, Tyren Johnson, whenever they shoot Tyren Johnson. They don't even say my name correct, but they just see me play and they're inspired. And I love that about the game, bro, how you can see a person working hard all the time. They think they're working hard. But whenever they really get around a guy that's really putting in structured work, it's a difference between working hard and just being in the gym, and structured work.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Because I know a lot of guys, they see me and they be like, oh, he works hard. He got a lot of moves. They would think I be in the gym for 3-4 hours. But really, I'm in the gym 45 minutes at a time. You feel what I'm saying? So I think that was a big point that you had made about we always focusing on what the game bring to us, but we don't never really focus on what we bring to the game, because it's more than just stats and W's. It's way more than just stats.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right, and that's what you said earlier too. It's about respect and respecting the game, because the games can do a lot of things for you, but when you're thinking about doing things the right way and respecting the game, we keep it pure. We fell in love with the game because you saw some guy working his butt off. I mean, I remember I was like, I don't know how old I was probably 13 years old when I first saw J.C. Carroll working in the gym at Utah State when I was living in Logan, Utah. And just the way that guy was working out, the way he approached the game. I'd watch their practice, I'd go to their games, first one in every sprint. Balls out on defense. Sprinting into shots. I mean, it's like you said, the workouts weren't an hour and a half, but then I was able to be inspired by that, because I mean, I'm sure that guy wanted to go further and he had his goals, but you play hard like that because you respect the game and that's what the game deserves, and that others may be watching, because what happens is you inspire a young guy. Well, when you're done playing, that guy's still going. Right. And that impact that you're able to have because you respected the game, you're contributing to the game. You're keeping it pure. You're giving somebody else the path. You're giving somebody else the example. And I think when we focus on, and you've gotten on me sometimes, even in games, like, hey, don't worry about that. Pick your head up. You know what I'm saying? The ball's gonna come your way, because things work out when you do things the right way, and the game will give you everything you need when you do things the right way.
So this is
And I think that's how we leave. That's how we leave. That's how we contribute to the game, is by doing things the right way, walking the right way, talking the right way, practicing the right way, having the right attitude, and then that's how somebody else will fall in love with.
Who was that guy? That guy that was J.C. Carroll, that guy for you that showed you how to be a pro?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have full access to Utah State guys when I was in high school. It was J.C. Carroll and pretty much all the guys who were at Utah State. They were former pros. We'd play at this church maybe a block away from my house, and they play at 9 o'clock in the off season at night. So I would just I'd sneak out of the apartment. I'd tell my mom I was going on a walk or whatever, and just run over to church. It took me about a year just watching, and then finally they let me get on the court, and then that's when they started teaching me basically about the game. And J.C. Carroll was one of those guys that was always around too.
That guy for me was Orion Green. Oh my God. We call him OG, but OG came back to the gym to work out. I think he had just got cut from the Celtics and was about to sign with the Pacers. So he had like a 2 weeks of just had no team. And he came back to Lafayette. I was in the gym all day. We just was playing one-on-one. I didn't see him work or nothing. He was like, yo, we ain't doing no drills. Check up. I'm like, what is this dude? I didn't know who he was. Man, when I tell you he told me a new one every day, like it was nothing I could do with him, bro. And from that day forward, for like the first 3 days, he stayed for a week. For like the first 3 days, I couldn't score. I couldn't stop him. But by the time day 6 came, I was killing them. The thing was, though, when I got back to my teammates, babies. It was babies, bro. And the most important thing was he taught me strength. Like, I didn't know how physical basketball was, but the dude literally beat me up. Like, beat me up. You know what I'm saying? My main inspiration in life was Corey Webster. He was a cornerback. I'm from a football place, but Orion Green, when it comes to basketball, was that guy that taught me how to be a pro. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to hear those type of stories, man. But what are some challenges? No, I don't want to go with challenges. What are some of the perks of playing overseas for you?
I think for me, for me, there's two. There's a basketball side, and then there's a life. You know what I mean? So I guess
Let's
I'll
get the
start
basketball
with
side.
Yeah, I'd start with the basketball. The basketball side is just I think the perks. I think it's starting from the bottom, because when I say the bottom, it's not like, I don't mean like you actually, but just starting over. Because once in college, you play in front of big crowds, and you've been in the system for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, so you're really comfortable. But when you come overseas, depending on where you go, but the situation I was in, you basically start over. You start over. It's a different type of basketball, different country, different language. Your teammates have no idea what Louisiana Lafayette is or what BYU is, and they don't care, And you gotta hit the ground running, and not only be able to bring your talents, but you also have to learn how to put your talents within this game here. And it can be a challenge, and it was very challenging for me at first, my first year, but that also allows a lot of growth for your game. And when you make that adjustment, you realize there's a whole nother world of basketball, and you can add that to what you've already got, and you can kind of add that to your package.
Right. So I just came up with something, and you can't tell me no, but so we're gonna start doing this either whatever you're comfortable with, either weekly or monthly. And we'll find those one subjects, and that's all, because right now we're doing an introduction of who you are, because you're going to be a constant guest. but we're gonna find that one subject where it's gonna be like adjusting to a role overseas. That's gonna be the podcast. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but that's good though. What are some of the cons? What are some of the things you don't like about playing overseas?
I would say I think you
Keep it real, dog. Keep it real.
I think you're the odd man out. You know, I think it takes a lot of resolve to be able to not only to learn but realize you helped me with this a lot, and you know this is not, you have to adjust to what's going on here. No one has to adjust to you, you know, and that's rightfully so. You're in a different country living in. It's not your country. People brought you here. They pay you a certain salary. They provide you with certain things. So, you know, in a way, they've done their part. You know, as long as they uphold that end of the bargain, they've done their part, and everything else, you're the one. You have to adjust to it, and always remind yourself, like, hey, like this is them, and they've made some room for me, and I've got to do my part. And that's been hard, obviously, with ego and things like that. But that's one thing that I've gotten better at over the years, and I've learned.
Got you, man. It's a struggle for me.
I want to hear your thoughts.
For me, it's a struggle every day, man. It's just so the way I learned the game was I learned the game through Kobe Bryant's mindset. Like literally, I felt like the only way I can make it was if I turned it into Kobe. And that's why I quit college. I found Kobe's trainer, Tim Grover. And I was like, I'm going to do everything that he done. So when I get over here, my mindset is kill or be killed. But over here, their mindset is basketball it's a job. It's like almost like a hobby. Soccer is the real thing out here. Like, and I'm in practice, we kicking balls. I'm low key feeling disrespected if someone kicked the ball to me. Little things like that. Like I'm frustrated with coaches going crazy on the sidelines. In America, a coach not gonna go crazy unless he's like one of the crazy coaches from like West Virginia. I forgot his name. Whatever his name is.
Oh,
yeah, one of those guys. But most coaches is, all right, you're not playing hard, sub. I'm used to basketball being a real thing. Out here, it's kind of like an afterthought. But it's still serious and it's still big, but it's like they don't take it as serious as I take it. And whenever I show how serious I am, it's taken as aggression or it's taken as negativity. And so I have to really bite my tongue a lot and really internalize all my feelings. And it's hard playing like that. But my solution has been is to just not care, to literally not have any emotional ties. And it kills me because I'm passionate. And I'm passionate about the game. I play the game the right way. You're not going to see me celebrating. I'm not focused on the stats or nothing. But I have to internalize my feelings because it could be taken for he's negative. No, I just don't want to. I don't want to talk about girls during practice. I don't want to talk about LeBron during practice. So in the game time come, I don't want to wait until the second half come to be serious. From the tip, I'm serious. You know, so it's just their mindset and my mindset. I come from a place where you got to survive. Over here, survival is pretty easy. You feel what I'm saying? So, and I struggle with that all the time. I'm still struggling with it today, but I've gotten tremendously better at it. You feel what I'm saying? So,
man, I think that's one of the most amazing and interesting points for me, because one question I have for you is, we know respecting the game and, you know, all that, but as far as like the mindset of approaching the game, what's the right way?
I think the right way, man, as far as the approach to playing overseas,
the mental approach, like the demeanor, like no celebrating, no talking about LeBron before the practices and stuff like that, or the headlines.
The mental approach for me is first, the first thing we talked about is giving to the game. That's
Right.
first. That's first.
That's the right.
Second, I have a Jay-Z and Beyonce mentality. I look at it, what you think Beyonce got time to be talking about something that's not trying to make her great? Jay-Z don't want to talk about nothing that's going on in what should I call mumble rap. You know what I'm saying? He'll entertain it because it's good business. But whenever it comes to him, he not trying to hear them 808 boom boom. He trying to hear boom boom bap because that's where he's from. He's from New York, and that's his style. So I always approach it like, what would Kobe do? What would Jay-Z do? How would they attack this situation? What's LeBron? This my real go-to though. What if Greg Popovich was my coach? How would I act? What if LeBron was my teammate? How would I carry myself? Then I revert back to the days I was in training camp with the Pacers, and I was like straight narrow. It was no playing around. I'm trying to impress these people. I just signed for $600,000 upstairs. I'm trying to secure this contract.
Yeah.
I bring that same approach like I'm already in the NBA because that was my ultimate dream. It's my ultimate goal. It's not my goal anymore, but it's still the place that I set the bar for. So I'm like, if I want to get here, this is how I have to act. No matter what they're doing, no matter how they're approaching the game, I got to approach the game because I got to be different because I've been having to be different my whole life. I'm talking 3 years on the bench in high school, 3 years on the bench in college, to getting overseas and still being overlooked. I've been MVP championship every year of my career. I'm in the second division in France. So I've always had to do more than the next person. You feel what I'm saying? So my approach is just simply just acting like I'm already there.
And I think, obviously you're my guy for a reason. I think that's amazing. I know your life story and where your approach comes from and your mindset, and I'm all for it. And one thing that I learned is you said some things very interesting. You said where I'm from. You said this podcast, how I grew up. You talked about your experience with the Pacers. You talked about your experience where you were on the bench for 3 years. And you've always been someone that's self-reliant, that is always up for the challenge, is used to the challenge, is comfortable being uncomfortable.
It's crazy.
Because your journey has had a lot of discomfort and you had to choose, all right, I'm going to be comfortable being comfortable or I'm going to complain, and you're not going to complain. And it's allowed you to go so far. And that's part of your story. And now that's part of your personality. That's part of who you are. And one thing that I learned in Spain is some people don't come where I come from. Some people haven't had the challenges that I've had. They might have never been in a Pacers training camp like you. And the funny thing is what I learned there was because I've always been kind of, oh man, I gotta get it, and I realized there's different parts of our personality of our story that make us that way, and for me it was just very eye-opening to see the other side. I as a person, I have my shortcomings, I have my insecurities, I have my things that I've experienced that's kind of affected my outlook on the game and how I play, how hard I play. But sometimes it's been a detriment to me. Maybe it's been a positive for me on the court, but it might have been a detriment to me off the court. Whereas I might play in a big game. If I lose that game, I'm done for 2 days. If I win that game, I'm like, all right. My teammates are like, oh, we just won a big playoff game. Let's go get a drink. I'm like, no, I don't drink. I'm focused. Tomorrow I got to wake up at 6. And, it's like, and the thing is, I've seen a totally different side where guys are maybe have a certain different life off the court. Maybe they have different responsibilities. They have kids and a wife, and they go into the game even kill. And like, this isn't everything. Whatever happens, happens. And I've seen guys have a lot of success with that. I've seen guys, we lose a big game. It's like, hey, it's just basketball, man. Go home to your family. I'm like, what? It's not just basketball. It's life. You know what I mean? It's like, or we lose a big game. They come in at practice, like, joking around because it's gone. And I just could never understand that. And I know there's a right, for me, there's a right way to play. There's a right, and I agree with what you're saying. But I think everybody is different. And I think everybody brings their personality to the game in a different way. And I think whatever gets someone to perform at a high level, sometimes as a teammate, you got to be willing to take it how it is, and that's one thing I learned. And you taught me that, especially last year too, some of our experience. Whatever someone's personality and how they get the most out of themselves, you got to be able to take it and then kind of mold it, but you got to be able to accept it. And that's been a huge challenge for me, but it's allowed me to get along more with my teammates when it's like, okay, there's one standard, and not like, if you're not like this, you know what I'm saying, you're weak, you're not strong. But it's more like, okay, maybe they haven't gone through everything that I've been through to be like this. And I'm like, okay, I understand. And you taught me that too. And I think I'm a hard worker. I think I go get it, but I might play with Pat Bev tomorrow and and realize, it's so yeah. So I think it's interesting, the different mindsets, and the more understanding we can be, the better we can have that success as a team, and learn from each other.
Right. So this is a philosophy I started this year. You kind of touched on it just now, but just right before this coronavirus thing, I was always preaching about how small the game is. Like, for me, the game has always been so big. So whenever I lost, it affected me so big. But now it's to the point, bro, I got a girl now. I got businesses outside of basketball. And I realized that, bro, everything's small. Money, material things. Basketball is a hobby. Now, I don't even really think we're supposed to be doing this full time. But I realized that it's so small. And once I realized that, my confidence in the game shot to another level because I didn't care about the results. I didn't care about the losing. I didn't care if I averaged 18 or if I averaged 10. And with me having that freedom, leading the league in scoring, team in first place, and it's just, it's a sense of comfort that I've gained by not attaching so much emotional things to. I still get mad every now and then, but really I get mad when I know we're not being ourselves. When I see us in practice and I see us practice a certain way, and we drop the ball on the game by trying to be too cool. We're not going to kill each other in practice and then get in the game and we too cool. And for the most part, I think that's why our team had a little success this year, because the energy actually kind of started in preseason. Our energy in practice was high level. And when the time for the game came, it stood there. And, I realized that I couldn't talk to certain guys certain ways. I had to handle this guy a certain way. I had to handle coach a certain way. When I empowered them and I helped them be the best version of themselves, I turned into a different beast, because now I'm a natural helper. I've helped a guy that I can't stand. This guy's getting on my nerves. He doesn't play my style of basketball, but let me try to think about his style of basketball. Let me try it out. He might be able to make me better. And I'm shooting some of the highest percentages I've had. I'm getting some of the easiest buckets. Defense is crazy because we're working together in tandem, but I actually had to have those conversations instead of just thinking mentally, oh, well, this guy's trying to mess me over, or this guy's holding me back. Instead of knowing that I control all of this, let me go ahead and control the situation, go talk to him, see what he's thinking, so I can adjust my game, adjust the way I'm thinking, and we can come together and work together. So Everybody, man. Kobe learned that late in his career. He just talked about that in one of his latest interviews. And you know, him and Michael Jordan was known for being an asshole. You feel what I'm saying? By requiring guys to be like him. You know, it's good in a way, but it also was detrimental in a way.
Yeah.
If guys leave you thinking that you're an asshole, you failed. I don't care if you win a championship.
Right.
You failed. Because even if I lose with guys that I love being around, I'm happy. If I win, when I won a championship my first year, I wasn't that happy, bro. I'm going to be honest and transparent. I wasn't that happy because I didn't feel the love. I felt the love from a few guys, but I didn't feel the love like how I feel this year. If we was to lose this year, I'm good. But if we was to win, oh my God, I said it was my first time in my career I was gonna be able to pat myself on the back. You feel what I'm saying? But you know, the virus done messed everything up. But even through this, just having this time to what do you call it? Look back over the whole entire year and just even look at life itself and realize, bro, I wake up every morning to be a lion. It feels kind of good to just wake up, see my girl, give her a kiss, eat breakfast, relax, make some music, read a book, go outside and hear the birds chirping instead of waking up like on attack.
But
like,
you know, it's crazy. That's amazing what you're saying, but that's, you know, sometimes that's what some guys have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then they show up to the court. I mean, you've gotten that at this point in your career, but some guys have that early on, and they show up to the court, big smile, loose, and you know, there's the line like who's trying to, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so I think it's interesting. But one thing that you pointed out that I think is great. I played with you last year at Blois, and we didn't have the success that you guys are having this year. And you know, when we talk about there's something about realizing, okay, my right way is my right way. You know, like you said, let me look at how this guy approaches it. And then when you're open like that, you learn other things that you can put into your. And I think you guys this year, one thing that's you mentioned it yourself. People are accepting each other. Mm-hmm. That's the groundwork. We're going to accept each other, and then we're going to build on top of that. You know, and I think that's definitely something that we didn't do last year. You know, not because we're bad guys or a bad team. Sometimes it just doesn't work out like that as far as people having that wisdom. But then you learn from it, and then you can take that move forward. But I think accepting people for who they are, and then when you accept them for who they are, they trust your criticism. And then you can teach them a little bit about your way. They're open to it because since you accept them for who they are, they know you're just trying to help them. And then they might be able to help you in another way. And I think that's beautiful, man.
So that go back to a question. I want to know your opinion on this because, you know, I'm a quote guy and then I hate quotes at the same time because I think a lot of them are trash. Like the famous quote from Kevin Durant. He's like, hard work beat talent when talent failed to work hard. What do you think about that quote? Because that was kind of our situation with our team last year. We had probably one of the most talented teams, but we were terrible. Individually, we was okay, but as a team, we did not mesh.
Yeah. Well, I think it's all subjective. Like, how do you define talent? How do you define work hard?
That's why I hate the quote.
That's why
You see what I'm saying? That's why I hate the quote. I love the intentions of the quote. I love what he's trying to say. I know the effect he's trying to get out of the quote, but I'm not a fan of quotes that don't translate. You feel what I'm saying? If you got a talented guy and he's like on some, it's on today, I don't care how hard you work, Lance Stevenson gonna figure it out. Now, what happens whenever Lance decides to say, I want to be a pro for real? You're out of there. You feel what I'm saying? I look at it like this. I'm not the most talented, When it comes to basketball, I can't dance. I don't have no rhythm. My timing is terrible. I have to really watch the game and really practice the game. But that mental approach, that's my edge. I'm going to work hard so I have the conditioning and the skills.
Right.
But where I'm going to beat you at is mentally. If I see an inch of fat on your body, mentally, you can't guard me in my head. If I see your mouth open because you gasping for air because you tired, mentally, I'm going to beat you because in my brain, you ain't been working hard enough. If I smell any type of weed, cigarette, alcohol on your breath, my eyes turn green. I'm like, yo, I know you ain't taking this as serious as I am. And that ain't about hard work. That's just about, I feel like the subjective part, I feel like my hard work is 10 times harder than your good days of work.
Yeah.
That's how I look at that quote, man. I look at that quote like that. I don't like to look at it like, because if a talented guy work hard, it's nothing you can do, bro.
Oh, for sure. And I think people get caught up in those quotes and phrases and words. And I think one thing that I just can't stand is the phrase or the words hard work.
Yeah. No,
Like, what does that mean? You know, like I see sometimes people, I'm in the 5 a.m. club. Okay. I'm like, you know what's hard? Like, what's hard work?
My
Like,
man, I don't want to cut you off. My man the other day just told me to he looked at my schedule on Instagram. He was like, I love the schedule, but you got to knock one thing down. You got to change the 8 hours to get about 4 hours. You can squeeze in about 4 more hours, 4 hours less of sleep. I'm like, what? But go ahead, finish.
Yeah, like it's not about hours, what time you wake up. It's like, it's just, what are your goals and what are you trying to achieve? It's about your growth. Like,
What are you
I
doing
just,
when you up?
yeah, when I see hard work on Instagram, I just, when people say, oh, hard work, I'm just, oh, dang, I'm gone. Because like my mom came to the States with 5 kids. My dad was back at the crib, you know, because he had a good job. He was trying to make some money before he joins us. She was working at night, cooking food. We were all going to school. She was taking care of 5 kids. We didn't have a washing machine yet. She was washing the clothes by hand she was making dinner, and going to school. And I'm like, she never once said, oh, I'm a hard worker, I'm this and that. And I think people don't realize, like, everybody is trying to make the best of themselves and their life and their situation. It's not about, you can't quantify, you can't like put a number on it or things like that. And I think a lot of players get caught up in that, because they might be out there doing a lot of things that are not useful. You know, like some people might be, if it's not helping you get anywhere, we need to stop trying to identify ourselves with hard work, but are we getting closer to our objectives? Because you might spend 4 hours in the gym, but this guy might sleep 8 hours, eat right, stretch, recover, and spend 45 minutes in the gym, and he's going to bust your ass when it's game time. You know what I'm saying? You might call yourself a hard worker, but you might be in line at the grocery store next to this single mom who, if we're trying to quantify like that, works 100 times harder than you. So I think your world becomes small when you start to think, I'm talented, or I work hard, or this guy doesn't. You don't know. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You got to be able to assess yourself based on where you want to go and where you've been, and are you growing every day? Are you getting better? Because if that's when you might be like, okay, I'm working hard, but do I have this mental approach? You might ask Ty, hey, how do you lock in like that? And maybe those little things are going to help you 10 times more than what your definition of hard work is. You know, it's just about growth and getting better.
Got you, man. We ain't gonna give them too much sauce. Like I said, man, this is gonna be frequent conversations. Y'all gonna constantly see Noe or hear Noe, however you're receiving this podcast. So I'm not gonna give him too much more sauce. I'm gonna dig more into Noe. What do you do off the court, as far as like what you eat well, play better? Go ahead and give yourself some advertising right now. You know what I'm saying? Let people know what you do outside the court, because this podcast is also not just about building, that mindset. It's also about building a life. So I want to give guys some life advice too, for us, what you do with the eat well, play better, and everything that you do, bro. Go ahead and let us know.
So when I had that surgery we talked about earlier after college, I realized, there was a lot of things that I could do to improve my chances of having a longevity in my career. And one of those things was changing my diet and my lifestyle. And, when I started down that path, there was a lot of advice from like runners and long distance people who were kind of into healthy eating and stuff, but I couldn't really find too much on basketball and holistic like examples of healthy eating that pertains to basketball. So I just kind of went down that path, made a lot of strides, made a lot of mistakes, and I also studied exercise and wellness in college, and that helped me kind of figure out like what are some of the best ways to take care of my body. And I started writing a book about that journey with nutrition and basketball, and then I share some information on my website charlesabouo.com, and also through Instagram, at charlesabouo or at eatwellplaybetter, just share with people some tips, some healthy lifestyle tips for athletes with nutrition and recovery training, things like that.
Gotcha, man. That sounds amazing, man. Like I said, I'm gonna let you go ahead and go about your day, man. I want to thank you for coming on the show. We're gonna be on here very frequently, and I just think it's good for guys to get different perspectives. I mean, you from one side of the United States, I'm from another side of the United States, so that's even a total different perspective. You playing in South France, I'm playing in the center of France. That's a different perspective. You played in Leb Gold, I played in Japan, I played in Mexico. So, all our experiences can help the next generation, the next wave, be a little more informed than we was. Because, I mean, I know how you feel about giving back. I know how you feel about giving out information because, one of the reasons why we're close friends is because I believe we have a heart to help. So, like I said, man, I want to thank you for coming on. I don't want to hold you too long, but appreciate you. And we'll get back on as soon as possible, bro. All right. Oh, before we go, we got this is something I'm gonna be doing on my podcast. We got the truth questions.
Okay.
We got the truth questions. So truth, you got the shirt on, my man. I see you wearing the shirt. TRÜF Life Podcast. We're gonna talk about. We're not gonna talk about, but we're gonna run through it. Whenever you hear the word take, what do you feel you had to take to get to where you're at in life? Quick example for me, I had to take someone's spot in college. When he got injured, I had to make it clear that he couldn't get back in this spot. So that was one of my versions of take.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I think every day. I think for me, every day is game day. You're competing every day. The last thing I want to say is the one thing someone told me. My head coach in college. This was 2 years ago. He told the team. He made the team do sprints, and he said, you know what? I'm sick of you guys. He said something like that. He's like, you guys don't even know what it takes. There was one guy, when he was here, it didn't matter. He brought it every single day.
Gotta take it.
He brought it every single day. And that was Charles. He said, if he was here right now, he'd be killing you guys. And someone told me that. He said that at practice, that made my day. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel blessed to be in the situation that I'm in, and I don't want to take any day for granted. I make a lot of mistakes. I'm not where I should be. I'm still trying to learn, but you can't take any day for granted. And you want to get to that pillow and not have any regrets. You're gonna make mistakes, but not have any regrets from your effort and your presence in the moment.
So, what do you feel about respect? What do you think is respect?
I think it's along this. I think respect is, for me, I think if I'm able to give myself the respect that I need and I deserve, I feel like I feel like I'll get that from everybody else.
Um,
And I think that's how I approach myself. One thing you struggle with confidence as a person, but I think one thing that's helped my confidence as I've gotten older, and one thing that we talked about last year, and you helped me with too, is you got to respect yourself. You know, like it's like almost like you're outside looking in, like,
and that's how everybody else gonna treat you.
And that's how everybody's gonna treat you. How you walk, how you take care of yourself, how you talk, and I think
Hygiene.
Hygiene, and it's cool because it's like you become kind of like a fan of yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Supposed
and it's
to be
like,
biggest.
yeah, and it's like exactly. You know, it's like you become a manager for this person. You know, and you make sure they're ready. You make sure they're professional. You make sure they're on time. It's like you're helping. You know, because it's so that's one thing. I think respect. Give yourself the utmost respect because you deserve it. And when you truly believe that, you'll see how it perpetuates to everybody else.
All right. So whenever you hear the word until, that means journey in my logo. Until means journey. What do you think about the ups and downs? Do you think it's realistic? Do you think it's needed? Do you think it's some bullshit? What do you think?
Well, I think you said until, I mean, take respect until freedom. You know, and I think man, I love the saying because it's you know, we want that respect. We're battling. Whether it's respect ourselves, we want from others. But when you're free, I don't think you really care because you're living who you really are. And
so that last
then that's
question.
not the end of the journey because once you're living who you really are, it only starts from there.
So what's your definition of freedom? That's the last question.
My definition of freedom is when you can be 100% when you can give yourself 100% of who you are and give the world 100% of who you are. And but I think it's a lot of work to find out who you really are. There's a lot of conditioning you got to get out of it, and once you realize you might not be who you think you are, that's when the work starts. So hopefully, people get to that, but it's a very long journey to find. You got to peel back a lot of layers, and I'm starting to peel those layers back. It's not comfortable all the time, but I think that's what it is.
We're gonna do it together, brother. We're gonna do it together, man. That's the TRÜF Life right there. My boy Charles Abouo. I hate saying his last name because I feel like I'm saying it wrong all the time.
No, but you say it wrong, but it's your way of saying it.
That's my little swag, right? Man, thanks again, man. Appreciate it, man. I'll call you on FaceTime in a second. And until next time, bro. Thanks again, man.
Appreciate you, man. Love talking about this stuff. It's really important. And thanks for having me.
All right, boy. Fucking end this shit.